Hello, good morning. So far, in the different lectures, we have seen that drug, the most important component that is administered to the patient, cannot be administered as such. It has to be converted into suitable dosage forms. These dosage forms have to be manufactured on a large scale and administered to the patient. Now, everywhere we are having controls on quality. Here too, in pharmacy, we need some rules and regulations that will ensure the safety, efficacy, and quality of the medications that are administered to patients. This is because it directly impacts the life of the patient. Right? The life of the patient is threatened if the quality of drugs and for dosage forms is not up to the mark. Hence, there are a lot of rules, regulations, and legislations put into place by the government of India for controlling the quality of medicines. So, let us see what is the purpose of these pharmaceutical regulations. It ensures that the patients receive drugs of required quality, which are those which are tested and evaluated for safety and efficacy for their intended use. Thus, this is a legislation that is very important because it is concerned with the health of the society. Let us briefly look into the history of pharmacy. How did pharmacy come into the picture? As we all know, India and the Indian people relied on traditional systems of medicines centuries ago. So the first recorded incidence of a allopathic drug coming into India is in the year 1811, where Mr. Bathgate, who was associated with the East India Company, opened up a chemist shop in Kolkata. And for almost a century, this chemist shop commenced manufacturing and dispensing of medications. Around the same time, in 1821, Mr. Smith, Stanistreet and Co. founded an apothecary shop, which also ran for almost a century. So from somewhere till 1910, there was not really much evidence of pharma companies or pharmaceutical manufacturing. People used to go to apothecaries and chemist shops, which were probably few and far in between. But gradually, the demand for medicines increased. And in 1901, Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceutical Works was established by Acharya Prafulla Chandra. And similarly, in 1903, Professor Gajjar opened up a factory at Parel, which was named as Alembic Chemical Works, was another factory that was founded. Okay. As the demand for medicines increased, the large number of manufacturers, both Indian and foreign, started manufacturing and selling drugs. But there was no control over the drugs and the standards were not there. These drugs were not of the standard use. Hence, the government of India found it necessary to establish a committee which would look into the pharmaceutical drugs that are available in India and give recommendations for improving the safety of drugs that would be sold. Therefore, it appointed Lieutenant Colonel Chopra to head a committee which was also known as the Chopra Committee, and this committee was asked to investigate the role of pharmacy in India and give its recommendations as to how to improve the quality of medications that were supplied in India. The committee observed that the number of manufacturing units were not sufficient to fulfill the requirements of the Indian public. Most of the drugs were imported from UK, Germany, France. Okay, it was only during the First World War, 1914 to 1918, that cheaper drugs were imported into India. However, they were still costlier. There was a need for manufacture of indigenous drugs, and this led to development of unhealthy competition between Indian manufacturers and foreign manufacturers, because of which the Chopra Committee was appointed in 1931. The committee gave about 90 recommendations, the main recommendations of which are listed here. It recommended the formation of a central pharmacy council as well as state pharmacy councils to look into the education and training of professionals. So a need was felt that in order to manufacture quality medications, there should be quality pharmacists, which means it recommended that pharmacy education should be looked into, policy regulation should be brought into the picture, and this should be done by the central pharmacy council as well as state pharmacy councils. In addition, these councils would maintain a register of practicing pharmacists in that state. The second important recommendation laid down by the Chopra Committee was the creation of a drug control machinery at the center with branches in all states. The third recommendation was to establish reliable testing laboratories called as central drug laboratories with competent staff and expert, as well as state drug testing laboratories which will work under the guidance of the central laboratory. This was somewhere in 1931 to 35. However, because of the Second World War, these implementations were not these recommendations were not implemented immediately. The government was reluctant. Finally, the government toned down the recommendations, only took a few recommendations from this committee and introduced it as an import of drug bill in 1937. This bill dealt only with the import of drugs manufactured and sale was not included. So, whereas the original Chopra Committee recommended restrictions and control on import, manufacture, sale and distribution of drugs, of the recommendations, only those related to import of drugs were introduced as the import bill in 1937. The drug bill was introduced in 1940 in the Legislative Assembly, and finally Drug Bill 1940 was passed and came into force as Drug Act 1940. And the current Drugs and Cosmetics Act is an improved version of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So what we have today is the Drug and Cosmetics Rules 1945, and we are going to study these rules as we go ahead. Okay, so some of the main acts that were passed and which are still in existence today and which play a major role in the control of quality of drugs and the formulations that are supplied to patients are the Pharmacy Act 1948, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1945, the Drugs and Magic Remedies or Objectionable Advertisements Act, Medicinal and Toilet Preparations or Excise Duty Act 1955, the DPCO, that is Drug Price Control Order 1987. In 1985, the Narcotic and Psychotropic Drug Substances Act was passed. In addition, there were a number of acts as listed here. So, in all, the medicine that reaches you, the consumer today, has gone through a number of rules, regulations, complies with various standards, is safe, non-toxic and efficacious because of the efforts that have been put in by the Government of India, by the various acts, rules, legislations, committees that have come into force over a period of last 60 to 70 years. Okay, so this is the significance of legislations. They are responsible for India being a major pharma force, which not only produces drugs for its own consumption, also produces drugs for the worldwide markets. India is today one of the leading global players in the pharma world and is a major supplier of medications to all developed countries as well as developing countries. The reason for this is the strong legislation and the rules and their enforcement leading to drugs of good quality, which are safe, non-toxic, efficacious and the cheapest. Thank you.